Oh, good.
Thank you for joining us this morning, everyone. We have a lot of folks joining us today. We're just, I think, admitting the final few folks into the meeting, and we're ready to kick things off. Welcome. We're so happy to have everyone here with us today to celebrate this exciting partnership between DOT and IBM. I am Ann Patterson. I am Director of Communications and Digital Engagement at Digital Opportunity Trust, and I will be your event facilitator today. So we are here to launch a partnership, but we're also here to talk today about why digital education is so important, especially right now when millions of people are experiencing radical shifts in how they learn and in how they work. So today we're going to hear from DOT's founder and CEO, Janet Longmore, as well as Joel Mangan, who is the executive director of PTech at IBM. And we're also going to hear from three absolute superstar youth who are spreading new skills for career transformation in their own communities. And they are Mohammed Shahadat, Ruth Kavecki, and Henry McCary. Before I turn it over to Joelle and Janet to provide our opening remarks, I wanted to share a little bit about the partnership that's brought us all together here today. So DOT and IBM are coming together to support over 40,000 youth in Rwanda, Tanzania, Kenya, Uganda, Zambia, Malawi, Ghana, Jordan, and Lebanon to tap into IBM's free Open PTech online career readiness curricula. And what's especially exciting about this is that at least 70% of those 40,000 youth will be young women. And we know that even before the pandemic, the gender digital divide was extreme in the world, with women over 50% less likely to be online than men in least developed countries, and 390 million women still unconnected in the world. And the global pandemic has really only made this divide worse. So partnerships like this, which bring together digital education platforms like IBM's Open PTech with the scale and the reach and the youth-led energy of organizations like DOT, are really critical right now. And I know Janet and Joelle are going to tell us more about why this is so important and so important right now. And our youth panelists are going to talk more about what digital opportunities like this mean for young women and for rural communities and for refugees. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Joelle, the Executive Director of Open PTech, to provide our opening remarks. Welcome, Joelle.
Thank you very much, Anne. Good morning to everybody, good afternoon, and maybe it's evening for some, I'm not sure. I'm really happy to be here to hear from Ruth and from Mohammed and from Henry. and to talk a little bit about this partnership. I want to start with an idea. The idea that talent and potential are equally distributed across humanity. And that the challenge that we have is actually making opportunity to be as equally distributed. Opportunity is what many people lack. So, we believe here that talent needs opportunity. Now, if you're one of those people who would usually say to their friends or to themselves, if only we had a basketball court in our school, I'd probably be as good as LeBron James. Or if we had like a football academy, I'd be as good as Lionel Messi. Or I had that idea for Uber first, but actually we didn't have venture capital in our country. I'm here to tell you that you are right, and that me and your mom believe you. That you could have been as great. And so what is lacking there is this idea of the opportunity being available for everybody to be able to achieve what they have the potential to achieve. So that brings us to why we're here, and why it matters so much that we're talking about digital, and we're talking about the role that technology can play. There is no better equalizer to opportunity right now than technology. If we're really thinking about how we can get everybody as much to the position where they can actually exploit the opportunity that is available to them, to get them ready to be able to exploit the opportunities that may present themselves, and to be able to create opportunities for themselves. Because frankly, what many of our young people also want is to be able to create opportunities for themselves, because they have ideas that we don't have, and they need the capabilities to be able to create opportunities for themselves. Technology is the great equalizer. One thing that we believe in at IBM about this idea of human potential, and if you're in this room, that's because you share that idea about human potential being equally distributed, is that the role that we play in shaping the future of technology gives us the responsibility to be part of making sure that we get everybody as ready as possible to be able to take advantage of the future. Technology is driving that future. So being able to understand the role that AI can play in life, and what the role that it already plays, the emerging technologies like blockchain and cloud, understanding that and knowing what they are capable of doing, and the role that you can play in that is a really important step towards being able to take advantage of the opportunities that may present themselves, or to create opportunities for yourself. The second idea is that we've come to realize that technical knowledge is one thing, but one thing that actually allows people to be able to take advantage of the opportunities that are available in front of them and to succeed is also what we used to call soft skills, which are really professional skills and very, very important skills. And those are skills that we can now make sure that people can get, using platforms like OpenPTech, that we can get people started on this journey. And we see that these are things that are generally missing in education. It's just general education. So this partnership that we have with DOT is about really bringing these two components together: the professional skills, the awareness of new technology, and actually the hands-on training in new technology that allows people to be able to create opportunities for themselves, to be able to take advantage of opportunities that are already available to them, and to be able to present this opportunity to as many more young people as possible. One of the ways that we get about really executing on the responsibility that we believe we have for young people around the world, for the industries that we change by the technologies that we create, is by making sure that we're working with people who have the same philosophy as us, to be able to make sure that we're making these opportunities available to everybody. We've been working with DOT for 10 years because they share the same vision and the same values as we do in this space. We have together worked on opportunity in different kinds of areas, in financial inclusion, in health, and now really working on digital education. I want to thank DOT for their partnership on this, and for actually giving us the opportunity to be able to scale this as far as we can in different countries. I also want to thank everybody that has worked to get us here, from Tony to Jane, Cliff, and for our leader, CDR Melanin, who's in Egypt, who has been on this journey now for the past 10 years himself, and who's going to be helping to shepherd us to the next phase alongside DOT. So I wish everybody like a really good, informative seminar. And I want to thank you all for coming here to join us in this discussion.
Thank you so much, Joel. Great to have you here. And next, we're going to hear from Janet Longmore, founder and CEO of DOT.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Anne. And thank you, Joelle, for being here with us today, for your partnership, and also for your very insightful words. Thank you, Mohammed, Henry, and Ruth. I know you are very solution-oriented young people, so I'm excited to hear more from you later on. And Joelle, you're creating opportunities and talent is distributed equally everywhere is exactly, as you said, Dot's philosophy and deep belief, and even a tagline that we use. So thank you again for your insights. I'm just thrilled to be here with all of you today to celebrate this partnership between Dot and IBM to empower youth in Africa and the Middle East with digital skills and business knowledge so that they're prepared for both the present and the future world of work. As Joelle mentioned, Dot and IBM enjoy a long history of partnership, a history that goes back to 2008, representing more than 10 years of impact. And at that time, our partnership was a very early example of a private sector leader working with a leading social enterprise as we jointly leveraged our assets to make IBM's Corporate Service Corps program a model for effective private sector development. Together, we really made a difference. And once again, we are joining our experience and our assets in a very timely collaboration to make a real and substantial difference to the lives and livelihood prospects of African and Middle Eastern young women and men. As we know, and we've talked about this so much, how dramatically the world of work is changing. And in the face of the pandemic, people are really struggling to shift to digital in their jobs, businesses, homes, and indeed the way that they are learning their education journeys. But sadly, as we know, in the Dot network and beyond, the digital opportunities are not distributed equally. As Joelle said, many people continue to be left behind: women, refugees, rural communities, informal settlements. They really struggle to be included. And so as this pandemic accelerates digital transformation, new ways of learning must keep pace if we are to equip all young people with skills relevant to the digital era and marketplace. We can do this and we can make a difference. And at Dot, we firmly believe that youth and young women must be at the center of digital transformation. No matter where they are, young people are digitally savvy, connected, creative, motivated, and ambitious. They see the challenges around them. They want to solve them. They see the opportunities, and they want to make a difference. IBM knows this, as we've heard, and we continuously see this in Dot's network of youth. Young people who are stepping up to get people connected, to help people access digital tools, using digital in a way that makes sense, inclusive, and in the local context. Daily, I'm introduced to youth who are translating digital education materials into the languages of rural communities, young women teaching their peers to code, youth using digital to deliver education to communities of refugees. And when we place youth at the center of digital transformation, the results are impressive. And in partnership, Dot and IBM can do much more to empower communities and individuals to transform themselves. IBM joins a large-scale collaboration committed to Dot's Daring to Shift initiative, which includes Global Affairs Canada, UNICEF, the GIZ, the World Bank, and many local and national organizations. And I invite others to join this impactful co-design initiative that places young women at the center of inclusive growth. Together, we will be supporting tens of thousands of young people in 8 countries to access digital learning opportunities through IBM's Open PTech platform, and merging Dot's content on gender, empathy, empowerment into the platform, creating learning pathways for youth, pathways that lead to jobs, new businesses, and innovation. And it's really a strong example of what happens when you bring together the expertise of diverse but like-minded organizations DOT's channels to youth, our feet on the street, are critical to access the important innovative resources that IBM has created. And so is the supportive network of DOT peers for their learning journeys. So young people know they have access to important networks and inclusive opportunities that DOT's peer networks can provide. I am just literally so excited to be together again with IBM and to launch this important example of a truly impactful cross-sectoral partnership. I want to thank the many people who have joined us today, and thank you to all the youth in the DOT network and beyond who will be engaged with us. Together, we are making a difference. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Janet. So I know that you can all tell from what Joel and Janet have shared with us that we're really looking forward to hearing directly from youth who are leading digital transformation in their communities. So we have 3 young people joining us today. I'm going to introduce them, and then Janet's going to spark a discussion with a few questions for each of them. Now, Ruth is having some connectivity issues, so I'm going to introduce her in the hopes that she can still join us, but there's a chance that she won't be able to. Hopefully she'll be able to pop in at some point. I'll start with Mohammed. Mohammed Hamza Shahadat is a Syrian refugee living in Jordan. He's a trainer for the Norwegian Refugee Council and the founder of Expatriate Student Affairs, which is an online organization that has helped over 5,000 refugee students in Jordan develop their skills and complete their education. In response to COVID-19, Mohammed has started an e-learning platform to help youth gain skills in self-development, in business, in marketing, and in Arabic. He's also supporting refugee youth to register for online courses so their education is not interrupted. Hopefully soon we'll have Ruth joining us. So Ruth Kavicki is the co-founder and executive director of Pwani Techno Gals, a social enterprise in Mombasa, Kenya, that is working to bridge the gender gap for women in technology. And Pwani Techno Gals offers web development training, workshops, and mentorships for girls in secondary school, university, and college. Ruth and her team have reached over 5,000 girls and young women so far, and they just opened their first physical training space, which is now the first girls-only coding school in Kenya. A key component of the success of Pwani Techno Gals is that Ruth makes sure that the girls she works with feel safe, included, and empowered to pursue ICT by involving entire families and communities as advocates and supporters. She's a Digital Opportunity Trust alumna, Kenya's lead ambassador for Africa Code Week, and a member of the US Department of State's Tech Women Initiative. She also recently published her first book, She is a Techie, which you can buy online. And finally, we have with us Henry McCary. Henry is the founder of Kickstart Kalifi. It's a social enterprise that uses experiential learning to prevent students from dropping out of school. Henry also equips youth in rural areas of Kilifi County in Kenya with ICT, communication, entrepreneurship, and life skills. Henry's a member of Digital Opportunity Trust's Youth Leadership Advisory Board. He's an alumnus of the Kentheri International Leadership Training Institute, as well as the Young African Leaders Initiative, or YALI East Africa. And he's also an alumni of Kenya's Youth Leadership Program. Henry's also a motivational speaker who advocates for better opportunities for youth in rural communities. So we've got some very impressive young people with us today. I don't think Ruth has been able to join us. So Janet, over you to kick off our discussion today with Mohammed and Henry.
Perfect. Okay, thanks, Anne. And we'll keep our hopes up that Ruth can join. But we have a very exciting panel already. And as I said earlier, a solutions-oriented panel. Both of you have certainly been doing this, shall we say, bridging the divide, the gender digital divide, and certainly innovating in the way learning is delivered. So I think what I'd like to do, just to kick us off, learn a little bit more about each of you, if you could share with us, and I'll start with Mohammed, your experiences with digital education, your personal experience. Just share a little bit with us about that before we go into some questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Janet, and thank you, Digital Opportunity Trust, for inviting me to this event and celebrate with the partnership between the DOT and IBM. I'm pleased today to join you and speak about technology skills and my last experience in this field in Jordan. My name is Mohammed Shadat. I live in Jordan, and I'm the street team participant and founder of the Expatriate Student Affairs in Jordan. In Expatriate Student Affairs, our vision revolves around using the time to build the skills of refugees who have not had the luck in obtaining higher education opportunities, and through the skills they can understand their appreciations more clearly and with a greater confidence. That's because, unfortunately, there are no enough support to refugees education, higher education. So today, everything depends on skills. Young people here interested in learning computer skills, programming, life skills, graphic design, business, project management, courses that related to engineering and community work. So these skills will enhance the competency of young people and develop their practical career and academic backgrounds. So young people today see challenge as opportunities, and we are in the Expatriate Student Affairs working with this methodology, and we are looking towards sustainability and benefiting from all youth experiences in future projects. We will work to provide the best services to the young people and the Jordanian society that will come to us when we come to from Syria. Also to serving the refugees who deserve support and assistance after they lost a lot of things after the war. So I can shortcut that experience in technology. It's very important now, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic, because everything depends on the online and dealing in several areas. So I also can say that there's thousands of youth and refugees here in Jordan graduating from high school yearly and looking for scholarships to complete their higher education. But as I mentioned, unfortunately, the support is always limited. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mohammed. And I think you touched on some very critical pieces, both the empowerment and soft skills, but just the sheer numbers of people who are not being included and not being reached. I see we have Ruth. Welcome, Ruth. We're so happy that you could join us today. Thank you so much. We're just kicking off our solutions-oriented panel. And Henry, if you bear with me, I think, and Ruth, I'll just throw a question to you, which is twofold, really. Anne had a chance to introduce you, and you've been doing, I've known you for many years, you've been doing some tremendous work, particularly with young girls in very innovative ways. And so we know that 50% of women are less likely to be online than men. And I'd like to hear from you. So what creative ways and what have you done to engage young women and girls and get them excited and passionate about learning STEM and overcoming the digital barriers they face? Okay, Ruth, we can't hear you. Hang on a minute.
Shoot, unfortunately, we can't hear Ruth. You are unmuted, Ruth, so I think it might be an audio issue.
Yeah, we've seen this happen before with certain devices. Okay, so I'm sure she'll figure it out.
Yes,
She's
we're
at
learning.
Technogas, right? Okay. And, but perhaps in the interim, I'll turn to Henry. Hi, Henry. Is Ruth there? No, still working on it. Okay, okay. So I'll turn to Henry. And Henry, you're just doing some great work and reaching out, entrepreneurship and in Kalifi County. And I know you're solutions oriented. So can you just share with us from your experience, what are the barriers? And they could be young women as well, but young men, young women are facing in their in your community in order, and how are you helping them to overcome these barriers so they can reach their potential?
Right. Thank you, Janet. My name is Henry Mukar. I'm joining you from Kilifi, Kenya. Indeed, I'm passionate about technology, and I must say, having been working in a rural area for a number of years, the challenges maybe in rural areas are much challenges compared to urban areas. Like for instance, I'm joining this call from Kilifi town, which is around actually 40 kilometers from where I work. I had to maybe travel because of to get a stronger internet connection to be able now to join the call. So that's one of the challenges that we have when it comes to, especially for us, youth in the rural space. So internet connection is still a very big challenge. Another thing is also the cost of affording the internet itself. Connection, it's not still very strong in some way. But again, even the one that is not strong when it comes to affording the data pack, now it's a challenge for most rural youths. And this, when it extended to women and girls, more challenging. Taking into account our communities, the discrepancies in terms of economic opportunities, because the men and boys probably tend to have higher economic gains than the females. Another challenge is also when it comes to devices. Getting the digital devices is also another challenge, because there are some devices that are available in the market, but then the issue of affordability and the quality of these devices, because most of the devices that most rural youth can access, then when it comes to the issue of it's a problem. For instance, I do train on digital skills, and there are some devices that we have, they cannot support some of the programs or softwares. Now you turn that, as Joel said, technology is an equalizer, but for me, I'll say I have some marks on it, because if it's not looked into very well, it can be actually a tool of leaving other people's behind and create a digital divide between rural and urban centers, and even between men and women. So for me at level, what I'm doing, because being a youth in this community and having got at least, I'd say I'm privileged from a number of skills to be the position I am today. What I'm doing is basically to create some opportunities for my fellow youth, basically bringing these opportunities in terms of either a center or where we have some equipment where youth can be able to learn digital skills. Because again, I normally challenge fellow youth, the world will not stop to move or advance technology-wise, because for instance, Henry in Kilifi doesn't know how to switch on a computer. So it's up to us, despite all challenges, we have to take charge and ensure we go for these opportunities despite the challenges, but we have to soldier on. For the few of us who are fortunate probably to have been able to get some opportunities, we should be willing and ready to share with these communities, because for this, even our countries or the globe to progress, we have to ensure each and everyone is brought on board. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Henry. And I think you really captured it, that yes, there are these challenges, access, cost, devices, the divide, but yet, you know, with the digital talent and skills you have, you are pursuing and building, I know, ecosystems of partners so that, you know, the awareness and the challenges of access can be overcome. And it's that front line that you've got, that trusted channel to your community, that I certainly believe is making a big difference, ensuring that no one is left behind, to your point. Ruth, you're back with us.
I think Ruth's audio is still not working.
That's a very odd
Gosh.
thing. Ruth, you know, we've seen this happen in major events in many places. So we'll patiently continue with you and see how you might be able to work that out. And Mohammed, back to you. So, you know, again, the daring to shift and certainly something we share with IBM in bringing more women into the digital economy is just so critical. And we know that, and we've heard some of the individual barriers that they face. But tell us about your experience, because with refugee women that you're working with, and how once they're getting these digital skills, you know, what are the opportunities that you see that they are creating for themselves?
Yeah, sure. Based on my last experience and the education empowerment for the refugees, I noticed that the gaps for refugees learners were in the lack of experience in using digital platforms, especially educational platforms like edX and Coursera and others. And this was our main role in the expatriate student affairs in guiding young people and teaching them how to use it correctly, how to join the courses, how to enroll the courses, and how to perform tasks and assignments, and how to access technical support from the platforms when they facing the problems of challenge in their training journeys. For me, based on my experience, I can say that these opportunities open doors for the youth, for the Jordanian and Syrian youth, to improve their skills and abilities to have a chance or have an opportunity to improve their capabilities, like when the youth looking to join for university or looking to get a job. Everything requires skills and a big motivation to appear for the for these parties like universities and job stakeholders. So before the COVID-19 pandemic, a large percent of people here in Jordan used to use the internet and technology just for communication with each others only. During the COVID-19 pandemic, many habits of people here it's changed. For example, education in schools and university is changed to be online and paying. For example, also paying monthly bills, ordering products, shopping in online stores, requesting governmental documents, all that things changed to be online, and it was a big challenge for the people here, especially for I speak in general, but when we speak about the youth, the challenge it was very big because large percent of this youth have not experience in using the educational platforms and that things, and that we worked on to solve this problem by providing support and assistance for the students who face challenge and problems when they trying to complete and continue their educational journeys. So I can say also that these opportunities can be a good motivation for the students and the youth who are interested to have a good opportunities in their career and academic future. And that's what I faced when I come to Jordan. That's because I depend on improving my personal skills, especially digital skills. That's because it's required so much in everywhere. When you appear, you're interested and your motivation for the scholarships that's interested to support education, refugees education. You can say that will be great if the youth have these experiences and this competence. So now, after 2 years of the COVID-19 pandemic, I can say some of people have a good experience in dealing with these skills, but unfortunately, there's still a large percent of people who depends on technology just for communication. So that's we are looking forward to help these people and help especially the youth to improve their abilities and capabilities to have a good skills to dealing with this challenge during the pandemic. Thank you.
Really great points, Mohammed. I mean, certainly moving it from it's not just a communication tool to how it can indeed help you in your career, in your education, in gaining work, etc. And then also to hear your personal story. And I think quite often the passion that's driving you and Henry and Ruth and so many other is the personal experience that you've been through. As well, and the challenges, and you want to support others, and this is the power of that ripple effect of being able to be there to support others. Henry, tell me a story. You're putting things in the chat. You're arguing for ICT hubs in the rural area. I agree with you. There's such a shift from it's urban focus to rural, the opportunities that are there. So tell me a story just of the numbers, someone you've worked with closely or many, who have just, with your support, overcome those barriers and have created a really innovative digital offering in a rural area, or a story that is so strong for you in your experience.
Right. Thank you, Jan. For me, I'll say my experience with technology, it has been quite, I'll say, fascinating, but also very challenging. Because I remember I joined university without any basic computer skills. I didn't even switch on a computer. And I can remember very well the first assignment we were given was supposed to be handed in soft copy. And I can remember among the instructions, this assignment in Word document, double spacing. So because I didn't have a computer then, I didn't know how to about it. I looked for a friend because again, I couldn't even afford the cyber cafe charges. So I looked for a friend. Unfortunately, this friend had some bit of knowledge, but not much. So what he did, I wrote my script in a piece of paper, A4 size. I gave him so that he could type. But then when it comes to double spacing, instead of going to MS Word and use the function for double spacing, my friend, what he did, he used to type the space bar twice. And this assignment was out of 15. I remember the lecturer gave me one mark because it's simply I didn't follow the instruction. So for me, that was a turnaround of things. Like I had now to find myself a footing. Despite these challenges, how am I going to survive in this university? Because at the end of the day, I had to hand in assignment. So for me now, that's prompted me to find ways. And actually, I can say I've learned a number of things, probably mostly from friends, more than what I've learned from school, because I've been very passionate to learn about digital skills, because I realized that it's a must-have skill for me to survive in this century, no matter what the situation. And I cannot explain to a potential employer that I was not able, for instance, to hand in this assignment or this work on time because of issues. For instance, I didn't know how to send an email. I didn't have power, or I didn't have the internet data bundles at that particular time. So for me, that was a really turnaround, and I can say once I came out of university, because again, my story for me to acquire education, I'd say it's a very challenging one, because at some point I dropped out of school, I had to work. Even as I speak today, I'm a good mason who can fix tiles. And I did that because I knew my mom couldn't afford the education fees while I had the passion. So when I succeeded, I told myself I had that moral obligation to go back home. My peers don't have these skills, but at the same time, they have to survive in this world. So how are they going to survive? Because if I don't create opportunities for them, for those who are probably maybe have interacted, they know Kilifi, there's a lot of killing for elderly people on issues about witchcraft. And I can tell you one of the reasons for this is because youth are missing economic opportunities. And by virtue of having, most of them have not been to school, the ability to make rational judgment is then an issue, because I cannot understand why I'm not getting a job, yet this guy doesn't have any skill they can even look a job for. So what they go back to their homes and say, hey, the old men and women are the ones bewitching them. And what happens is normally killing them. My granddad has been a victim of this, and I normally tell myself, having even succeeded, I don't want to exit or migrate from this community because I don't have friends we can share common stories. No, I believe I need to create opportunities for them so that they can see the light, because at my elder age, I don't want probably to what happened to my granddad to happen to me by virtue of my peers. They feel they're excluded. I'm the only one who have opportunities, and them, they're like in a different world. So for me, that has been the turnaround. And normally every opportunity that I get, I have to share with these guys, because I do believe sharing, I'm losing nothing. And the knowledge I possess will become useless the day I made my last break. So I have to share whatever I've been able to learn. Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. That's a very powerful story, and touching on local context, culture, and again, how you've overcome some of those barriers and then are able to support others. We hear quite often in the DOT network that peer-to-peer support truly makes a difference. Is Joelle still with us, Anne? I'm wondering. There you are. Great. Yes, I'm curious, you've heard some of the insights, you've thrown a couple of questions up as well. And you talked about soft skills, Joelle, and the DOT model, facilitated learning, but we're innovating. So I'm just wondering, after hearing Hamid and Henry, any further thoughts you have or questions you might have directly for them? We've got 15 minutes. Good.
Yeah. What is struck me, which I'm still mulling on, is this whole idea about like, how do we really get to the rural areas, and how do we break the next barrier? So what we're doing right now is making sure that we have the content, making sure that we have the courses that are curated to the best level for that somebody with very little experience can get up and going and run with it. I'm really struck by Henry's story of not knowing much about technology, getting started, and that's what we've done in the platform to make sure that people can get started and graduate onwards. I think perhaps one of the things that actually is a concern for me is really thinking about like, how do we make sure that as many young, and what you're doing actually at DOT is making sure that there's actually people to support those who are working on or trying to gain knowledge. Then there's this third part, which is about how we make this technology available and the internet access that is around it, which has always been a challenge. I know that the challenge is reducing as time goes on, but I think it's something that we probably need to spend some time really thinking through. There may be some other innovative models that we could add to our partnership down the road, but it's something that I think is a concern, and that we need to really think through and deal with. But I have nothing more to add around the area of professional skills. We talk a lot about like grit and about like just being able to present yourself. And these are things that are really, really important. You can take two people of equal talent, but really showing up and being able to get yourself in front and to be able to execute your ideas and to be able to sell your ideas is a very, very powerful part towards success. And we all know that there are people with really, exciting innovations and talents and ideas that they want to bring to the world. And we need to equip them with the ability to be able to share those ideas well, to be able to collaborate with people to get the ideas done, to be able to build communities. Those are all the soft skills that we have in the system. One thing that I want to point to very directly is this whole idea of design thinking. And design thinking right now, we have it in the platform where somebody who's 14 years old can actually engage with the content. But that's content that my first learning of design thinking came from the exact same content. So it is as relevant to somebody who is in their 30s as it is to somebody who's 14 years old. But it's a very powerful tool about like how you make things happen. And that's how I really explain it. How do you make things happen? It's really important, this idea of soft skills. And one thing that we're taking away that CD and I will have a lot of discussions about, probably with you also, Janet, is like, what is this next third layer over time about the access to the infrastructure?
Absolutely, and a really good point. And again, collaboration, building out the ecosystem, who can play a role in helping, because it's so critical. The access issue, we hear it over and over again. We hear the cost issue. And so it is important. And what you talked about as well on the soft skills side, resonates as well. And that is something that Dot is certainly bringing. We've been doing design thinking as well for many years, and it's the co-design work as well, engaging and bringing young people into this process, which is also going to be so critical. I just want to take a moment because Ruth, I know, has not been able to join us, and I am certainly not going to do her justice, but she is an incredible young woman who, graduated as one of only 2 engineers in Mombasa, graduated from university, and engaged certainly with the DOT program. But what she has done with her partner, Aisha, and with many more young people now in her enterprise is reached, as Anne mentioned, over 5,000 young girls. But they took a very innovative way in terms of overcoming a barrier. And we've talked a lot about overcoming barriers. What Ruth did was engage the families in her community. So when they found that it was really at that family parental level that they were not supporting their young daughters to engage in IT and digital skills development. And because I think, Henry, you touched on this, it was just the unknown. And so Ruth really made that effort, and from a design perspective, engaged families, engaged the community. So people understood and knew what they were offering, what these digital skills were all about. And it broke down a lot of barriers. And, these are examples that we can do over and over and over again in many, many communities, but it's that innovation and that creative thinking. And I love how Ruth is also in her enterprise. She teaches teachers in the school how to code. Like, she's supporting them in order then that they can bring it into their classrooms, right? Bring the learning and training. And to me, that's systems change big time, right? When you have a young person from a community then teaching the educators inside, they're collaborating together. And so, Joelle and Mohammed and Henry, like the points we're raising here, it's just so doable at scale. And so we do need to have more people joining and bigger collaborations. And I'm just wondering if there's a question we want to pull from the chat. I know you're monitoring that as well.
Great question. So there are a bunch of questions coming in through the chat. There have been 2 that have come in about the importance of a mindset shift to this whole process. So what does the role of a mindset shift for youth play? And I think everybody has brought this up a few times, and Janet, you brought this up as well. But I think it would be wonderful to hear from Henry and Mohammed, who have also been through that process with DOT. What has a mindset shift meant for you as individuals? And then what do you see happen in your communities when you are able to affect that shift?
Henry, do you want to jump on that?
Yes. For me, I'll say, especially to work maybe rural areas, it might be, of course, I'm not so sure about this, but I'll be speaking about rural areas because where I've made most of my interaction. I'll say mindset change, it's a serious challenge because the moment someone or a youth doesn't buy an idea, then it becomes to go ahead or even grab, even if it's an opportunity. For me, I'll say, like, for my case, the initial training I used to have to offer digital skills training. But then I'll say after a time, I think the first training we had was taking 3 months. And after 2 weeks, I had 2 of them dropped out. So I remained with one, and it was a free training. So I had like to sit with my colleagues and ask myself, what are we doing? Are we not doing right? But then from the conversation, interacting with our trainees who had dropped out, and the issue was basically connecting with them. What we are teaching, how does it connect and relate to them? Because at times we bring so good programs, but again, if it doesn't connect with the learner at the end of the day, definitely they're going to get disinterested and they're going to drop. And I must say that's where I have a personal level. At times I have a challenge with digital education. It's good. I've been to classes that are very fascinating, but I've been to other classes that are very boring to an extent. I even drop out of whether it's a Zoom call or a Google Meet. And you can imagine, for my case, I know the importance of education and probably going for opportunities, but then I get disconnected, disinterested, and I drop out. So I think striking a balanced understanding, the people you work with, it's very, very important. Because like for our case, we understood that because for me, I mostly work with out of school youth. People, they normally refer them as school dropouts, but for me, they are school jump outs because I look at
No, I think we've lost
Okay.
Henry.
Yeah, I think we might have for a moment. Mohammed, could you take a minute perhaps and talk to us about mindset shifts?
Yeah, sure. I just want to say about my experience in mindset in my social innovation. I want to say that the positive impact is not impossible. That's because when we started to our first
what
journey.
they did was they failed probably.
Yeah, he's back. Okay. So we start by simple tools with a lack of support, with a lack of without any financial aid or financial support. So today, if we want to speak about the youth challenge, we face 2 challenges. The first one is the COVID-19 pandemic, and the second is the lack of the opportunities for the youth, especially here in the Middle East. So I can say that my experience with the mindset makes me very motivated to jump to the highest levels. My experience with self-learning, taking courses, and to improve my skills. I think the skills it's able to transform to others. You can always learn others to what you learn, especially that skills the youth needs in this time and in this period of challenge and the problem in this world. So I can say that the skills, it's very important for all youth or all students because these skills can open doors for you to other chains, other opportunities, and especially when we work to support the refugees youth by joining the educational platforms. You know that it's not a free educational platforms for others to. So we work to make it more easier and the access it's more easier for them. So I think this partnership with IBM will make these opportunities more easier to thousands of force in the Middle East and North Africa, and yeah, it will be a a good chance for everyone who's interested to improve his abilities and his competencies. Thank you.
May I, Jenny, just add one thing to the mindset? I think it's
Absolutely.
a really interesting question. And I heard Mohammed talking about they're working with sometimes very stressed populations, and also Henry was talking about out of school youth, and just being a teenager is hard sometimes. One of the things that we have on the other side in the platform is this thing called explorations into mindfulness. We have been surprised actually by the uptake of that course on the platform. And this is not about yoga or spiritualism. It is very much just really talking to young people about the process of the mind, like how your mind works. And so it's just something that I just wanted to point out, that we have found this to be really, really popular among teachers and among students themselves. We were very surprised about that. And I think, in the stresses that we see either in normal life or because we're in a particular situation where we're out of school, or you happen to find yourself and your family in a different country, or just COVID, we're seeing that young people are sort of gravitating towards this kind of content to just help them cope and to basically set their goals and to figure out how to manage these difficult situations. So it's something that I would encourage for people to look at on the platform, as we found that it's been really popular.
Thank you, Joelle, for that. That's quite interesting insight. And also, Mohammed, your comments, and Henry, but on the mindfulness side and so many stresses that people deal with, the pandemic has accelerated for so many people, and we are seeing a lot of young people leading enterprises that are dealing with mental health and wellness. So to have this additional content on the platform, and we'll be sure to feed that back to you, sort of what we're learning from our experience. I know also Empathy, one of my young colleagues, was sharing with me about the empathy work that we're doing with our community leaders, our facilitators of learning, because regardless, they are also working with very vulnerable people. And so really learning will be more effective if you have the ability to understand and empathize with where the people you're engaging with are coming from and what those stresses are in their lives as well. And I think worldwide, this is something that maybe we can see as a positive coming out of this pandemic, that people have that more care and concern for each other. And so the human side of the digital side, making that connection is still so important. And I'm going to turn it back to you now. I want to thank everyone on the panel. I thank Ruth as well for persevering to try to be with us. Joelle, thank you so much. And again, our deepest thanks to IBM for this partnership and the great opportunity we have coming together. And I'll hand it back to you to close.
Yeah, thank you, Janet. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us today. We're so happy that we had so many participants to launch this partnership. And thank you to Mohammed and Henry. And thank you so much to Ruth for doing your best to join us. Everybody who's with us today, you can keep up with Dot on Twitter at DigitalOpTrust and on our website at dotrust.org. And if you're joining us today and you're interested in DOT programs and opportunities like Open PTech, make sure that you join our Facebook group. Just search #DOT-Youth on Facebook. And with that, we will close today's event. Thank you again, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Bye-bye for now.